We're on your camera, right? Have you just not moved? Am I a crazy person? Have you just not moved the That's how you know. Like, that is one of more than whatever APM or whatever. It's essentially like if you're a cameraman that's equal with someone trying to record fireworks on their phone. It's like, what are you doing? One, nobody wants to watch this. Two, terrible quality. I can't see anything. That's how you know they might be a noob. You know how you know they're a noob, but they're trying too hard and have too much of an ego? When they do this.
Oh, you are now in my service.
So, on the bright side. Thank you, Valardov, for 7 months. And that's in lieu of actually doing anything else. That's like, I gotta get my 4 or 5 camera location spams in before I actually do anything. Not so much that doing that in general, but I'm gonna do that between every time I actually do something useful. And miss probes and gateways and all that. But so far, I would rather you be the equivalent cameraman of setting up a tripod with no one behind it, which is essentially what we have here, than someone doing fucking Michael Bay action shots where it's like, you know. So, you know what? Okay. Okay. You know why? Because he's so new and so, like, uncorrupted. He's actually doing a build. Like, the build is on point. He's followed the explicit Protoss build order, as some of you have seen. Like, a lot of players will play a bunch and then, like, try to come up with their own stuff and then try to look up information, and they'll still try to put their own twist on it and forget what they're doing wrong. But he's so fucking new. Like, he's a blank canvas, if you will. Where, for a while, he'll actually do things right, it seems. Okay, there's a Marine. Whatever. This is Silver League. Who gives a shit what he's doing? Alright, nobody cares what the other guy's doing. Including him. He's probably worried about you. If you get a Robo right now, I'll forgive this. Okay, Robo. Robo, you can do it. You can do it. VR. VR. And not the overhyped... Okay, alright, try not to wall off your own Nexus, but... It's not so much don't scout in Silver League, but know there are a very small amount of things you're actually looking for. Essentially, if you don't see 25 Marines, Zerglings, or Cannons on the way either at your base or around, it doesn't fucking matter. Because until about Diamond, your greatest enemy is going to be, in slightly lower proportions as you move up, yourself. It's not about what cheesy build he's doing or all-in, because 60% of the fucking all-ins I see in the Gold League or some guy at 7 minutes and 28 seconds coming in with 2 medevacs, and he's like, oh, he did a fucking Marine all-in. You know, Maru has 3 bases and 2 medevacs a minute and a half before that. But just because he built units and you didn't doesn't make it all in. It means that you're just all out. Let this be a great example here. Alright? I've lost a bunch of games because I didn't see what he was doing, though. No, you haven't. You're fucking wrong and shittier than you think you are. Alright, so. Our Terran player here has a grand total of 20 SCVs. He's taken a hidden base, but you might be like, oh, I didn't scout it. Doesn't fucking matter. This is way more effort than if he had just made a base at his natural, and he'll have worse economy. Even if every single probe here died, by the way, these are all compliments to the Protoss. If every single probe died, which anyways they could fight the Marines themselves, you'd still have more workers. So you just gotta remember, even if they're... So here's gonna be the first hiccup. What you should do as soon as enemy units come into your base, this is what is the pro player response, and what I try to do, and what everybody should try to do, even if it sounds counterintuitive right now. You see enemy units in your base, you should ignore them and work out what you are not doing. How long has it been since you warped in? Did you even warp it? As soon as you see those units, the first response shouldn't be like, oh shit, he has Marines. It should be, what if I warp in 3 Adepts, or what the fuck ever, right now? Right now. You see those units, like, spend my money. First reaction, not kill those units. It's spend my money. I don't care. Go build another Nexus. Not, let's see if 1 Adept, let me give you a spoiler. 1 Adept does kill those Marines. Let's move on. Because this is how you're going to get screwed. It's not about what he's hiding in his main right now. It's the fact you put your entire everything else on pause for 15 seconds while he had 4 Marines in your base.
The firstborn shall persevere.
Okay. I appreciate the initiative. Let me bring out... I think there's an important... let me... credit to Presence, by the way, who came up with this, but I think this is a very accurate... Let me give you the Protoss unit tier list. Everybody likes tier list here, and we're not talking about who cries the most on Twitter. Alright? This is the Protoss unit tier list. So, take it to heart. If you notice, very important notes. Of course, your top units. You got Immortals, you got Archons, amazing units. You got Zealots, amazing units. You notice Sentries don't exist before Diamond, and they shouldn't. Not useful before Grandmaster. Okay. Adepts are C-tier unit. Void Rays and Templar. But Immortals and Archons, you got your A-tier unit. Your Probes, of course, S-tier. Colossi, very tall. Important to note. Very tall. So, make sure you just check out that very, very relevant tier list. And, I just want to take some time, because Angry Coach, like, it's for our student here, but it's also for everyone who wants to get involved. So let's just break it down. Okay. If I wasn't broke as hell, I'd send you one of my silver replays, because I'm tired of seeing my brothers in this state. I watched the guide several times. I got better. So did everybody else. I'm still silver. So what? What? So don't scout? You heard my commentary on that. I've lost a bunch of games because I didn't see what he was doing. You also heard my response to that. Don't be a dick is a one-way street. On a good... So, on the bright side, you didn't send me a replay, because whatever fragile ego you had would have been shattered more than your mother walking over a force field. So, thankfully, nobody wasted their money in this situation. That's a free tip. Massive units, by the way, break force field. In case people don't understand.
Engaging the enemy.
All right, so beautifully timed hallucination observer scout here. Great escort. He'll never suspect the observer because of all the hallucinations. Notice here you scouted your opponent. This was a critical mistake, because in this time you could have done literally anything else. But instead, you have 1,500 minerals and 1,200 gas. It doesn't matter what the fuck he's doing. Building 3 Immortals and 3 Archons would have been better than seeing 4 Marines and 6 Vikings. I don't care if it was 6 Liberators, 2 battle cruisers. Oh my god. No, if you want to write an essay, go to Twitlonger. Alright? Thank you. But the only thing that might have been valuable to see him building or have is battle cruisers. But even then, the summary is the more time you spend on him, the less time you spend on yourself. And let's be honest, that you don't have a whole lot of time in general. Unfortunately, now that you scouted him, you're like, well, Vikings fly, Stalkers shoot up, so I should build Stalkers. Wrong. Let's bring up that tier list. You see, if you look up in the top left, Stalkers, an E-tier unit. Why? Promotes tryharding. We don't want to do that. Alright? Tryharding is what gets you to make sarcastic comments in Twitch chat and then not be able to take it when the streamer, quote-unquote, claps back. Still uncomfortable with that term. It just you goddamn kids, you gotta simmer down and don't yeet all over the place. All right. Okay. Let's bring that back up. Why are Dark Templar a D-tier unit? Because it's not so much... It's kind of like the Big Brother syndrome. Alright? Where... Archons are just so much better than Deets in almost every scenario where you're not trying to cheese on one base, that... I'd rather have a Dark Templar... I'd rather have an Archon than a Dark Templar most days that end in Y. So... Have I... You might play this game and be like, DTs are a great unit that I should always go for. And the answer is, not really. Not really. But sometimes they'll just win. Okay. Now here's a concept. I haven't told this story in a while, but the story of little old me playing my first strategy game. Empire Earth. in like 2000. I'm like 8, 9 years old. First playing online on dial-up. And so we finally had dial-up internet. And I played in some mode. It was called like deathmatch. I hadn't even finished the campaign because the campaign was too hard. Deathmatch is where you have essentially unlimited resources. So the reason I hadn't finished the campaign, I realized after about the third game, all these people seem to have way more shit than me. How did they get all that? It was then I realized you could build more than one barracks, or factory, or airport. You could build like 50 of them. And then you can build 50 units at a time. So what I'm trying to say is we're not rationing here. You can build a second robot. Also more Archons.
I am here in the shadows.
Mineral field research complete. Mineral field, you must.
Okay, so when you've literally killed their main orbital with Dark Templar, as you move up the ranks, you're going to have to start to think like, huh, well, this would be a dramatic logical leap here. If I killed his orbital, how did he just scan me? That's another great question. But in general, if you're killing him this hard, maybe you're not killing him that hard. Maybe that's what's happening. Oh. You know what? I bet you didn't even realize he had 2 bases out on the map. But at some point, if you're slaughtering him, you should be like, because at some point, there will be a player that is building like half a dozen battle cruisers in the corner. Because while he wasn't, he could have been, in the sense like, he could have had, if he was better, had the resource, yeah, all that. But overall, for a silver player, I mean, it's silver. It's an A-. Mostly because the stalkers. I mean, building a second base and anything over 20 workers is usually going to get you out of silver sooner rather than later. And no matter how little scouting you have, believe it or not, you might be like, but what if they battlecruiser rush? I'm not incredibly afraid of a battlecruiser at the 6-minute mark. 6 minutes is about when, well, not quite when a Zerg player can max out, but if you're on point, be at 150 plus supply, so. But with that, I mean, thank you, and good luck.